Welcome to Human Experience, a podcast about life, sharing experiences, and how to make yourself feel better. Men need to talk more about their well-being, so let's make a start.
Welcome to episode 6 of the Human Experience. This week, Chris and I will be talking about the big thing that's going off around the world and massive in the UK at the minute, which is lockdown. Really a bit of a free-for-all on this topic from Chris and I today. No real set agenda. Got a couple of bullet points that we want to discuss and talk about, like what we're doing through lockdown, how it can link into mental health, what we're trying to do to make sure that lockdown doesn't impact us in a negative way. So, Chris, how are you doing this week, mate?
Yeah, all right, mate. Still in lockdown, obviously. So I think it's going to be an interesting topic because this is a shared experience for all of us, and I'm sure we can all relate in some way how it's impacted us personally and mentally, probably.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something that I would have not bet anything like. There's no way I would have took the gamble of this ever happening in my lifetime. I just, to look at what we don't have now at the minute, like there's no socialising with your mates. This could be the longest time that you've ever gone without seeing the people that you've seen all your life. No pubs, restaurants, cinemas, like totally with people's careers. It's just an all new way of adapting to how the working and work life and some even probably haven't been to work for 9 weeks because they can't do the job at home. Yeah. So it's just, absolute mental time to be alive, really.
It is, mate. And I think I agree with you, like what you said. You tapped me on the shoulder this time last year or even like end of last year to say, oh, this is going to be happening. I'd have absolutely laughed you out of the park, but I can't imagine anything different now. This is life. Like my house, my 4 walls kind of is pretty much all I see and all I have seen for 9 weeks, with the odd bit here and there where I've been out with the dog walk and stuff like that. So let's kind of just recap where we're at, just for anyone living under a rock and don't know what we're talking about, which probably is nobody. So like Stu said, we've been in lockdown 9 weeks now. The UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced it on the 23rd of March for the UK, and it started the next day on the 24th of March. We are now the 20th of May, I believe. So, 9 weeks deep, and there's been a little bit of relaxing of some of the measures over the last week or so, but still normal life we may never go back to, or certainly not for a long time yet. And that's got some interesting impacts on your mental health. Like, I'll start with an obvious one. Like what you said, Stu. When was the last time you saw your mates face to face? When was it, like I live 3 hours away from any of my family, so apart from my wife that I live with, not seen them face to face now since before the lockdown, because I hadn't seen them for a while. So it's broken those connections. I know we've got the virtual world and that has been useful, but it's broken that physical sort of interaction with your loved ones, really. How are you coping with that, Stu, personally?
Well, to be honest, it was quite difficult, I think, in the beginning. I have still been lucky enough that my parents have sort of, because they live around the corner past the house, and, I've been up in the window and just opened it and had a quick conversation while they were on their hour exercise per day on the walk. Sisters, I've only seen them virtually, so we've been having a virtual family quiz night every week, every Friday night. I'm the reigning champ at the minute. It's like a family fortune type game.
I can see the look in your eyes. You're well happy about that.
Yeah, it's we're very competitive in our family. So I think in the beginning it was a big like shock. At the time, I was working in my kitchen downstairs. Kids off school, obviously, all around me. Wife around me. It felt like we were very much on top of each other. What I've done since then is I ordered a desk. And when I say a desk, I mean picture the world when you're doing your GCSEs and you've got one of those little square desks. I'm literally sat at one of those desks now. I sit at one of these desks every day, but it has been a lifesaver. I've set it up upstairs, so it does feel like I'm a bit detached when I'm trying to do work on a daily basis. I got myself a little comfy chair. So the little tweaks of just separating myself is as little as an upstairs downstairs has been a massive game changer for me anyway.
Yeah, and it's like, well, it is the world has shrunk for all of us, not just, well, for us personally. So like say, and I'm in the same boat. My office and my house are the same thing, and it's as little thing as moving from one room to the other that sort of says whether you're at home or whether you're at work. But like globally, I'm sure a lot of people have seen the stats where air travel's totally dropped off a cliff. Traveling just down the road in the car's totally dropped off, and there's some benefits for the environment there, which we might touch on later on. But the world has shrunk, and there's a risk there that a lot of people are getting stuck in their own heads. And my heart goes out to people that are in lockdown with nobody else in the house. It's good, just and you'll agree, Stu, it's good having like your immediate family in the house with you, so you can at least bounce off as much as it might do your head in from time to time.
Definitely.
I don't think I could, and I'm an introvert, as previously talked about. You do need that human interaction still, I think, and if you haven't got that, you need to tap into the virtual sort of world and keep up to date with your friends and any kind of resource online for that as best you can.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you've just hit the nail on the head there, like it is a proper blessing to have my family around me, but I do know people that are self-isolating on their own. My grandma's doing it. But my aunties and things on a regular basis, I'm not saying daily, but a regular basis, are checking in and making sure she's all right, make sure she's obviously got food and stuff like that. Because, my grandma's like in her 80s. She's can't be going about, like if anyone needs to be staying in, then that's the people that do. Yeah. But, something I did want to touch on is like, I often think like, what would I do if I were self-isolating alone? And I think you've hit nail on the head, like, I'd be looking into sort of virtual groups that I could join, or any sort of like our friend John who came on the podcast the other week. He does mindfulness classes. He does virtual fitness classes. I'd be looking at things like that, like just something where in my day I'd have an hour or an hour and a half, however long it is, that I'd be like structuring something around. And then obviously you've got your dinners, your teas, etc., and you're getting out of the house for a walk. I mean, that's something that if you're not in a vulnerable class, then you can certainly do that. And I would recommend that to everybody, that at least once a day that they do take advantage of just getting out and getting some fresh air. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's not all bad. And for me personally, when I used to be at work, office work, it was from start till finish, pretty much at my desk, just like plugging away at work.
Yeah.
Go for the odd walk every now and again, but definitely not regularly. Whereas at home, I'm finding I'm a lot more. It's just great. Like, gets to lunchtime, have your lunch, and I can just open the back door and go and sit in my garden for even 20 minutes, or do like a 10-minute workout or whatever, just to get the blood pumping and refresh myself. And it's a bit of a cliche, but I feel more energized after that in the afternoon. Whereas back at the old days, I'd probably get sluggish after lunch and whatnot. But I know it helps having the sun out and like that now. But there's definitely benefits in that respect. I'd never do take the time out for myself midday. Whereas now, even if we were to go back to office tomorrow, I think that's something that I would definitely try and maintain for my own mental health. It's good to just unplug from whatever you're doing for half hour a day or something, get some fresh air, like what you said.
Yeah, I agree. So just on that point then, mate, what does a typical lockdown day for Chris look like?
So for me, talked about it previously, but I've managed to get up about 5:30, because I've got a dog who likes to go out early in the morning, and I like to get out in the morning before the world started. It's sort of, and I know whether I'm in sort of a good mental space in my life when I'm out in the morning, where I can recognise like the birds singing and look at a tree a different way. Whereas sometimes I'll go like days or weeks and then where I just get back and I can't remember what the walk was because my mind's just 100 miles an hour. So it's a good sort of grounding step for me, that just to try and remember what the walk is, as stupid as it sounds. And then I'll get back. I'll try to do my 10 minutes mindfulness meditation, or that might just be, sometimes I'm not listening to something, it'll be like just paying attention to what my coffee tastes like and what it feels like, the heat coming off, just little things that anchor you back in the day. And then straight after that, I'll move on to like 10-minute, 20-minute kettlebell workout or bodyweight workout just to get the blood pumping. I've tried various times in the day, but the earlier the better for me. Then I've got it in, and you've kind of banked that, haven't you, for the rest of the day, and try and get one in again at lunchtime if I get in the shower, and then good to go at work for about 8 o'clock feeling. And if I've stuck to that, which I do most days, I feel, good to go. That's me solid till about lunchtime. And then try and do another workout, bit of time outside, like I've said, and then till about 4 o'clock. Then at 4 o'clock, I take the dog out again. Now we're allowed out 2 times a day. Take him out for half hour, and it's beautiful. Like today's been an absolute gorgeous day. It was great just to get out in the sunshine and clear your mind from a day at work, and then just enjoy the evening. So that's pretty much, that is 9 weeks of my life right there, Stu. And probably the next 9 months as well. It doesn't get much different.
Sounds exciting, mate.
Yeah. How about you?
So very typical start to the day not typical, very similar start to the day to you. I try and keep myself as much in the Monday to Friday time frame as before, because when we were working in the office, I'd have 45 minutes on an average drive to do. That's gone now. So technically I could still wake up 45 minutes later, but I do try and keep myself to my original schedule that we're doing. So getting up about 6, half 6, I then do like a 10-minute meditation on YouTube, have a black coffee, and then get myself straight in my garage to do my morning weight routine. It's been going, pretty solid, consistent with that at the minute. I know I've swapped and changed through lockdown a couple of different training programs, but I feel like I'm on the right one now with a push, pull legs. But what I was doing before, I used to do it. I did it for 6 days in a row. Yeah. But the old joints and that just could not handle it.
Do you want to tell the listeners what drove you to change to 6 days a week? Or
yeah. So I mean, I was doing push pull legs Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I could hit each muscle group twice, which is a big thing that I was doing some research on to get you most gains and most out of your training. But that volume was just too much for my old soon to be 37-year-old joints, like my knees battered. So I switched it up to start doing 4 days a week. But with me in lockdown and the amount of food I'm eating at the minute, 4 days just weren't even hitting damage control. Right. It was just like I was still in the red on a daily basis. So I've switched back to getting my 6 days a week in, but I've just tweaked the weekly schedule. So it's like 3 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on, 1 day off. Yeah. So my week, my 7 days will look different. It won't always be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off, Friday, Saturday. It'll always have that day off, so it'll keep swapping around. But so far, so good. Seems to be working well. But yeah, like the food I've been putting away is, I don't know if it's like something just in lockdown where I wouldn't have had time to eat, but like now because I can just go to the kitchen cupboard, literally it's right there. Like, what I tried to do at work was not take money with me. So I'd try and stop my weak craving habits by, keeping as far away as possible from cash or easy access to cash as I could. So I'd literally only be able to eat what I had brought with me. But now I can bring my kitchen to work every day because it's literally downstairs. Yeah,
and that's interesting how your environment changes your behaviours. We've talked about good stuff. So your gym's just across the way in your garage. Your garden's outside for lunchtime sort of breaks. But equally, like you say, unlimited food pretty much is just a cupboard away, isn't it?
And that's it. And like I do push to get out daily, whether that's just if we go for a walk with kids into the backfield, with dog or whatever, or even if I just try and get out into the back garden for a little bit. But my steps, so I put my Fitbit on just to see what I'm doing steps wise versus what I would have done 6 months ago. And it's sometimes not even half what I used to do by walking up and down an office all day. Yeah. So, I've got to be conscious to just, even though I'm doing my weights on a daily basis, I'm still sat down a lot of it because our work line of work that we're in, we do sit down a lot. Yeah. We're at a desk job. So, trying to push as much as I can to be conscious of getting up and moving throughout the day, even like you said, like on lunches and stuff like that, making sure I'm getting up and going and having a walk around, seeing kids and stuff.
Yeah, it's I'm the same as you. Like I would say, when I started lockdown, I just ate the same as I was beforehand. But I used to commute to work. It's like probably about a 2-mile walk there and back with the train ride in the middle. So cut that out of your day, and I was doing about 50%. And I noticed I was starting to put a bit of timber on as well, and that did, that when you don't feel good, you don't. Yeah. It impacts everything, doesn't it? And I was just like, I need to do something about that. So I've kind of amended my diet a bit and try to put in an extra workout at lunchtime now just to sort of combat that. But yeah, you've got to, at our age, Stu, you got to watch it, mate.
That's it.
On the hips, doesn't
it? It does, mate. It does. Like when I was looking at old photos of like 10 years ago, it would just like when I first met my wife, a totally different kettle of fish. Yeah. Like it could drop off me then, but now it's stubborn to shift.
It takes a bit of work, doesn't it? So
definitely does.
Let's mix it up a bit then. So what would you say generally this lockdown worse for people's mental health, or some of the benefits outweigh it? What would you say?
So I can only go for myself first. I'll answer that question for me. Yeah. Like what's the impact been on my mental health? And for me, it's been better. So it started off in a bit of a negative and then it's twisted. So the people that bring out the best in me are the people that I'm seeing more often. Mm-hmm. One of the worst things I had with mental health were driving in a car. I was in a bad car accident in around 2008. And I still now have like a lag from that, especially if I'm pulling up to like a junction, a roundabout, traffic lights, because someone hit me from behind, like on a motorway. So that commute to work, the majority of the time it was fine, but still it did cause a bit of anxiety. And I've said that story week on, week out about me getting very impatient, and queuing in traffic is one of the biggest things that can trigger off some of my anxious thoughts and getting irritated, which is, I suppose, in a way, those situations are a good thing because then it makes me put into practice what I've been looking at in the meditation and stuff like that. But then because I've not been getting that every day, I've never been getting that spike. So like my moods have been so much more flat. Like there's no spike and drop and up and downs. It's just I'm a consistent in a good place. Now, would I be like that if I was sat on my own in a flat with no back garden? Probably not. It'd probably be a bit different. I'd probably feel a hell of a lot more isolated than I actually do. So I do think it all depends what you've got around you. Like it's situational to your life at the minute, and how you like. Some people, I guess, who do live on their own and would be living in a flat on their own in a city centre. They might be perfectly listening to this, going, "I love being on my own. That's who I am." But then I know for a fact that there's people around that will probably struggle with the fact that they can't go to work. Like work with their interaction, with their part of their social network.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of, like what you've touched on, a lot of it will depend on your home circumstances. I've read some concerning stats about domestic violence increasing since lockdown started, and my heart goes out for people like that. And there's obviously lockdowns. There's no positives in that scenario, but like what you said, Stu, I can only talk for myself, and I feel much calmer, much happier. I haven't got a stinking train commute every day, and exactly what you said. That made me into my worst version of myself sometimes, because the train would pull up, it'd be busy. I'm like, right, I'm getting on this train. Elbows, get on the train, and that's not the person I want to be. But when I'm like that, and probably you can relate to, like when I'm hungry or I'm tired, that is my lowest sort of ebb, where my impulse just overpowers on a few occasions, or quite a lot of occasions, my sort of willpower, and I just turn into that sort of person. And that's not having that, and just when the minute 4:00 hits, or whenever my work finishes, to be at home, just ready to enjoy your evening. That's 2 hours back in your day, really, when all's said and done. And that's times that by 5 days a week, 10 hours back in your day. That's like pretty much half a day extra a week to do the things you enjoy and speak to your family and stuff like that. So definitely. some positives there.
So yeah, I think, for me and you, I think knowing your situation, knowing my situation, we are, I believe, two of the very lucky ones in this situation.
Yeah.
And what I also mean by that, so we've got a lot of positives. We're seeing more of his family. We're saving hours from a commute that we didn't really like to do. So that is not only the task of commuting, but the time benefit. Financially, we're better off. Like, I don't have a petrol cost to drive into the city every day. I don't have a city centre parking ticket to pay for anymore. You don't have train tickets to pay for anymore. We've still been working throughout this, so financially we've not been furloughed. We've not had any change to our financial situation whatsoever, other than for the better. So a lot of the things in lockdown for us are stacked in the pro. Yeah. But I mean, picture those poor people who are the flip side of that have been furloughed. They might have been struggling financially before furlough, and this is just then
or self-employed, zero.
Yeah.
Makes you count your blessings, and I know we've talked about gratitude before, and that's a reminder definitely for me to think about that more. And when something little happens in my day, and I'm a bit like, oh bloody hell, I need to just remind myself on that. But I think also this will come to an end at some point. God knows when. Probably next year, hopefully sooner. But as you know, nobody can really say with any definite answer right now. Things have changed forever, though. We will all be out of practice of what you've said about dealing with those day-to-day gripes. I will probably have an anxiety attack almost when I have to get back on the train again and do that, just from simply being around that many people at the same time. And we're just that's a thing that concerns me a bit, where we've gone so digital in our lives, and where does that leave us coming out of it, especially younger people as well. And it's going to take a long time to understand how the world's changed, but just know that it probably has. And
I think so what we've been in it now, 9 weeks, is it 9 weeks in UK lockdown? I think it will take a lot longer to go back to the old normal than it took to get to what this feels like normal now.
True.
If that makes sense. Like we went on lockdown, and I would say it took me about 3 weeks to get into my rhythm. That first 3 weeks, I was like, send me back to the norm, please. Like, get me back in work, get kids back to school as quick as we can. But now it's almost like we found us groove with this. I honestly cannot see like the world again when you're meeting up with friends in a pub.
Yeah.
And you're walking up and you're all queuing at a bar and you're waiting to be served, and there's just a lot of people flying around the room.
Yeah, the road to that, I can't even see it. Like you said, just until there's a vaccine and this thing's put to bed, or if there is even a vaccine, then it just seems like that kind of stuff has changed. And that's sad in some respects. And but we could be wrong though. Yeah, we could. Hopefully we are. And,
August, we could be there, stood at a bar, me and you, with a beer in his hand, going, what about when we said that on episode 6?
What was that all about? But interesting as well, like I read that there's an article in The Guardian from, when is it? Let's just have a look. From end of April, 29th of April. I'll put the link in the notes. That's talking about what we've talked about. So it's saying that the kind of general gist of it is if you had a mental health sort of problem or issue coming into this, it's probably hit you harder in general terms. There's the worry about the health side of it, which we've all felt. We don't want to get it. We don't want our loved ones to get it. And then there's the isolation side of it as well. But then there's people in this article, it gives quotes and from people that are just saying that until this lockdown, their lives never stopped. And they realise now that life's quietened down a bit and slowed down a bit, that their lives were a pinball machine, I think one person says, which is a great analogy. Just keeping up appearances, being at work, going to social events you probably didn't want to go to just to keep up appearances and show your face and all that kind of stuff. And it's stripped away all that. And I'm someone that, I don't know how many own, but social events, there's some great ones and stuff like that, and I do really enjoy it. But I'm not somebody who, not anymore anyway, enjoys going out every weekend and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's another positive way of looking at it as well. It'll probably strip back some of the busy stuff you did in your life that you can hopefully moving forward direct that save time towards other stuff. I know from the commute, I'm doing some online courses, with that time that I would be commuting, half hour in the morning, a half hour in the evening if I can get in, just broaden my skill set and my knowledge and stuff like that. Yeah. So more time can equal and should hopefully equal a better quality of life if you direct it to whatever you want. Could be walking, could be anything.
Yeah, definitely. You touched on a good point there about like the social things. I was thinking a long time before this even happened, like what other social events do you have that don't involve boozing?
I have none.
Like a lot of links link to going out and getting a beer. And if you take those away, you're sort of like, what do we actually do then? Like I was thinking about taking up golf or buying a season ticket for a sports team. Like I was just like, they were the only things I were coming to, like, what else socially could we do as grown men that don't involve getting blind drunk?
Yeah,
or even just one or two.
Yeah, it's such a good point. I had a bit of paranoia about this a year or so ago, where I kind of like went through my list of friends, and I love them all dearly, but I was like, do I ever see you where we're not getting absolutely hammered? Do you know?
Yeah.
And I'm overstating it slightly there, but 90% of the time is, and because we all live different parts of the world now, and when we're back together, it's like, oh my god, energy's running high and stuff like that. But I was just like, similar to you, can we not just go and play snooker and have a Coke, drink a Coke or something?
Yeah. But I think those friendships that you've built, as I have, over a long period of time, in your teens, 20s. Going to the cinema with your pal were a regular occurrence. Going out for some Nando's or whatever like that. All things like that were like a regular. Like time never seemed to have a limit on me back then. But now, in my mid-30s, when you've got a family and you've got all these other commitments to your world, like I can't remember the last time me and my mate at mid-30s went to the cinema and watched it. Like other people probably do, but I don't know where that time is. Like when I get time to socialise, then it is usually with a massive group of us and we go out for a beer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You kind of, because you store it up that long, it does become this big let some steam off event. Whereas if you do definitely. And it's difficult in, like you say, commitments, and we all don't live next door to each other. I often think if I had a mate, like a really good mate that lived in the same village as I do, it'd be great. Just go out for a quick Swifty pint on Friday night and stuff like that. But we can't even do that now. We should probably just start an online drinking challenge then. I think that's where we're heading to.
Well, you'd probably still cut me off at about 10 o'clock anyway. I've been burnt with Chris and nights out in the past where we've been out and it's got to about 9:30 and there's just a puff of smoke and I turn around and nowhere to be seen. Disappeared.
I've got a hard cut off these days. Learned through many a year of getting too hammered and regretting it the next day. So, yeah,
I think actually one of the last nights we had out might have been around Christmas time. It was about 10 o'clock. Someone else we were with came back from a bar with 2 drinks and gave one to me, and then, where's Chris? And I looked at my watch. I went, he's gone, and I just took the other beer, and I had 2. I was like, he ain't seeing that.
We always have to, like, the second you have to ask yourself on a night out, where am I? Now it's like, he's gone home. He's gone
home. I just know there's that like Cinderella time where it's just like there's a glass slipper up floor, and I'm like, I know who that is, and I'll take it to him on Monday.
Funny time.
Good times, mate. Can't imagine them happening again in 2020, but you never know.
It is. I was going to, sorry to cut you off there, mate. You made a point right at the start. I just wanted to hone in on because I think it's worth thinking about. If you were like, I've got grandparents there in the mid to late 80s now, you can see, and I've heard a few stories where elderly people are like, look, I'm not staying in my house, I'm going out. Like, and you can see why, because we've all got limited time on this planet. Let's not jump around it, and we don't know exactly how long that is. But certainly, for somebody in that part of their life, they know it's they've got limited time left.
Yeah,
it's pretty much we're talking a full year here, if not longer. Hopefully,
it's
written off just inside your own house like that. That's a lost year of really precious time that I can sympathise as much as, follow the medical advice and the government advice and all that. I do sympathise with that position. It must be tough to just write off that full year with your family and stuff.
Yeah. I can't imagine what that. I mean, obviously, it's not a choice that you get to make, but it is. I can imagine it being really, really challenging. I mean, just a topic that I did want to cover in this, but a real pro, what this country has really seen due to this is just how much value we have in our NHS.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
The clapping and all stuff like that. That's bringing all communities together and stuff. Just for me, is just they deserve so much more.
Yeah,
the people that are putting themselves in those positions, even we've put a sign in the window, not just for the NHS, but like the postal service and stuff like that. Like, there's so many I think I read it on a meme or something like that. Like, your job's important or something like that. When the shit hits the fan, you're the one that's still at work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you soon realise, who are those people that have got the real frontline challenges?
Keeping the country going, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think, and I hope, we'll probably listen back to this podcast and think we were being really positive about the lockdown, and that I don't mean to downplay the seriousness of the nature of it and the negative stuff that will be happening, but with a lot of good can come out of this. I think this country needed a reset button after the 4 or 5 years of bloody Brexit and all that divisiveness, just to recognise what's important, who's important. You said, key workers, and that includes, people that have immigrated over to the UK and they're helping out on the front line and stuff like that. And what's important, family time, friendships, and, hopefully it's a big reset button where we're like, right, the environment's really important. We don't need to do all this travelling because we've lived without it. That's cut greenhouse emissions by. I saw a graph today and I can't recall off the top of my head, but it was just the amount of emissions that have dropped off the back of this just through people not doing all those flights. And I used to probably go on 2 sort of foreign holidays a year. I'm seriously, when we're back to normal, I don't want to be flying that much. I don't need to do it, and it is damaging for the environment. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is I hope we can learn the right lessons from this and not, hopefully it doesn't create that animosity between China, different countries, all that kind of stuff. And we can just say, we're all connected. How many times can we say everyone on this planet shared the same experience? Yeah, it'd be slightly different in different countries, but we've all gone through this together. It's like World War.
No one's unimpacted, is it? No one has not been impacted, pro or con, throughout this experience. We'd have all had our ups and downs and challenges, but we were united in it.
Yeah,
and I think that's a real positive for us as a country and as a species.
Yeah.
Like I said, the world has been able to breathe, I think, from all the pollution that day-to-day life just hit it with.
Yeah.
But if someone were to ask what do you want it to return like I do want those normal things to come back, but with a twist, with a different lens on that we're looking through to say, right, let's move away all the things that created those negatives in our life and really go to town on all those positive things, which include a lot more of making time for people. There's so many times when I've said to the people, friends, family, oh yeah, I'll if you've dropped on them in the town or something like that, you're like, hi, nice to see you. You know what? I'll pop up or I'll give you a call sometime this week, and that call or that popping around never happens. Yeah. But I tell you what, from now on, I will be making sure that I honour those commitments.
Yeah.
So,
definitely. Like I said, learn the right lessons from this and improve your well-being in your life going forward, and stick together, remember the people that you missed, and like you said, follow up on that and catch up with them. And there's people in my life that live in Australia and stuff like that, and that before lockdown I kept in touch probably once every 6 months, but since lockdown probably every 2 or 3 weeks now. So, and that's that's just through making sure your mates are all right and having a bit of comic relief as well, because it's everywhere, isn't it? I can't seem to turn the TV on without an advert being about it or the news, and obviously it's a really sort of dominating thing. So any light comic relief, and we try to have it at work and stuff like that. So,
you need to have a bit of banter in your life, don't you?
Yeah, you do, mate.
So that concludes this week's episode. Chris and I would like to thank you for listening. Please subscribe and leave us a review to help our community grow. You'll find links to our social media and any other resources discussed in this episode in our show notes.